Recently, I've been catching myself overthinking the littlest of things. For some reason, every scenario that I imagine myself in, I just assume that the worst possible outcome will take place. And that's just not the- Holy shit, that scared the fuck out of me, it's a squid. And that's just not the way to live. Overthinking every little thing is gonna drive you crazy eventually. And the only reason I'm even making this video is because the way I think now is such a drastic change compared to how I used to think back in the day. And yeah, I know one of the main reasons is that I've just got older, and as you get older, you have more things to think about and you just got more responsibilities. Which obviously makes sense, but back then I didn't even worry about the big decisions in my life or the big moments that were coming up. And nowadays I even worry about the smallest of things, so it's a big change compared to how I used to live back then. Not overthinking anything or not being worried about anything was a trait of mine that a lot of people commended me for. Back then, even though we were young, people were already worrying about things while I was just sitting there not caring about anything at all. And I don't mean that in a bad way, I just mean that I wouldn't overthink anything. And I vividly remember people coming over to me and just being like, I want to be like you because you don't overthink anything at all. And I seriously miss living like that because now I just worry about stupid things, man, and it's just pointless. Also, really quick, if you haven't subscribed already, please do, because we are closing into 1,000 subscribers and that would be so sick. A few examples of big moments or big decisions I had to make back in the day are big exams coming up, you know, the exams that actually really mattered, deciding on which university I want to go to, deciding on which country I want to move to. These decisions were really big and they would obviously have a huge impact on my life, but I still wouldn't worry about it too much. I remember during the whole university application process, all my friends were stressing out so hard. They were all weighing up all their options and choosing which course to choose and choosing which university to go to, while I just kind of went with the flow. I just went wherever life took me, and I really miss living like that. If I had to make such a huge decision now, I would sit there and I'll think of every possible outcome, and then I would overanalyze every little thing, and then I would come to my decision. And even after all that, I still wouldn't be too sure if it was the right decision, and I'll start overthinking if it was the right decision. But saying all that though, I think it's completely normal to overthink big decisions you have in your life. It's obviously very natural to think about every possible outcome that the decision can lead to, especially if it's a huge decision that will significantly impact your life. When it comes to decisions like that, then please do think about all the possible scenarios and don't just go in it blindfolded like I did with my university. I'll be honest, the university I ended up choosing, I didn't even know much about at all. I didn't know much about the city. It just looked alright in the pictures and I was like, fuck it, why not? With hindsight, when I think back on it now, I think I did make the right decision, but I also cannot believe I just didn't really care and I was just like, fuck it, we'll see what happens. But when it comes to overthinking things that have already happened or things that are out of your control, that's when I think it's a problem. I think it's so stupid to overthink things that have already happened, and I'm not calling you stupid if you do that, because I definitely do that. But just the concept of us humans always worrying about things that have already happened is so stupid. If something has already happened, then we obviously cannot control it anymore, so what even is the point to think about it? I'll just use another example for back in the day real quick. I remember back then when we were waiting for our exam results, all my friends used to always be worried while I didn't really care. I used to always just think to myself, whatever will happen, you know, I can't really change it. So my life was just so stress-free, I didn't really care at all. And yes, again, I know back in the day my biggest responsibility was to get a victory royale in Fortnite, but that's besides the point, because nowadays if I had to wait for an exam result, I would be shitting myself. I'll be thinking about all the different outcomes that could take place if I failed that exam. I would love to say that realistically exam scores don't matter, but it obviously does in most scenarios. You know, even if I failed one exam in university, I probably would have not graduated. And I'm not saying that my overall grade was bad or anything, it was pretty good. I'm more saying that I don't think our university let anyone through if you failed a class. So yeah, it would have been completely normal for me to be worried before the exams, but for some reason I was more worried after compared to before. Deep down, I knew all my exams went pretty well, but for some reason I still would think about the worst outcome that could take place. The main message that I'm trying to send here is that you shouldn't be worried about things that have already happened or things that are out of your control. Because realistically, if you can't do anything about it, why are you thinking about it? If you're waiting for your exam results, don't overthink it, just wait for them to arrive. You know, if you get your results and they're not as good as you wanted them to be, then you can figure out what you want to do next. In scenarios where the future is uncertain, you can't really do anything about it, you just have to wait for the future to arrive. I'm sure you can do a little bit of planning here and there, but you get my point. I'm just exaggerating a bit to make you guys understand. I'll give you an example of my most recent overthinking moment. In this summer, I've been in the UK for more months than I usually would be, and that's because I graduated recently and I just was waiting for graduation. Oh man, that is not the pickaxe I wanted because I already got that. I wanted Fortune 3, bro. Oh, I can't complain though, it's not too bad. I was also waiting for my visa decision. I already graduated, but I was still in the UK while all my friends were back home. And the thing was, I was not allowed to leave the country until I get my visa decision, so I was just sitting here by myself. Which doesn't sound that bad, and you might be thinking what I was actually overthinking about. I was overthinking about my apartment contract ending. Pretty much the apartment I live in, I'm only allowed to live here until a specific date. And the visa people sent me an email saying the date that I should be getting my visa. Well, at least the day that they're gonna try get me the visa decision by. And the thing that was really scary was that the date that they provided was a month later after my apartment contract would end. So for obvious reasons, I was completely shitting my pants because that would mean I would have to find a different apartment just for a month. And that's almost impossible to do. It's almost impossible for a landlord to just give you 1 month. You know, most contracts are almost a year. So if I didn't get my visa in time, I would have been completely fucked. If this was a couple months earlier, I could have just stayed at a friend's house. But as I said, I'm alone in the UK right now pretty much, so I would have been screwed. But luckily for me, the visa is already here and I will be going back home really soon. But that just proves my point. I was worrying about it for no reason at all. I'd be so worried every single day. I would get up and the first thing I'll do is check my email, check if I got my visa decision yet. Even though that I have email notifications on, so if I got an email, I would just get notified. I know I should have been a little worried because I would have had to figure out a different accommodation that I had to live in. But I was deeping it like way too much. It got to the point where I was ruining my day-to-day life. Instead of just doing what I had to do in my day-to-day life, I would just be worrying about it and just not doing anything instead. You know, this is a thing that I could not control at all. I couldn't just walk up to the visa people and be like, hey bro, I've got a situation here and you need to hurry up. I obviously couldn't do that, so instead I should have just sat tight and just waited for my decision. But instead, because I love overthinking everything, I was sitting there going like, oh, I'm gonna be homeless, I'm so fucked. But no, nothing ended up happening and I'm going home soon. I was never actually worried about getting rejected. That was definitely not the issue. I was just more worried about the time frame, but I don't think I needed to clarify that. That was quite obvious. I also know that I'm not the only person that overthinks everything. You know, there's just different aspects in life that I've seen my friends overthink as well. You know, as I was saying, back in the day, most of my friends were worrying about which university they should go to, which is obviously a very normal thing to do. But nowadays, I always see them worrying about their relationships with girls or just like women in general. The example I'm about to give is not one specific friend. I've seen most of my friends do this. Let's say there's a girl that they've been texting, you know, maybe they're in a serious relationship or they've just started talking. It really doesn't matter how far along they are with this relationship. Let's say one of the days the girl doesn't reply for 8 hours. Whenever this would happen, I would always see my friends jump to the wildest conclusions. They, just like me, would always assume that the worst thing will take place. They would assume that their girl is cheating on them or they're talking to another guy. You know, she's just like, oh my god, she's definitely getting piped down right now. You know, just shit like that. I don't know. But in reality, the girl was probably just busy. She might have just been working on something, or she might have just been with her family for 8 hours. There obviously is a chance that they are getting cheated on, but it's probably not healthy to just jump to that conclusion. But again, I'm not judging them or anything because I do the exact same thing. I am missing one fucking block. What the fuck? Oh, this is gonna be very annoying. What the shit, man? I'm really gonna have to go all the way down there for one block. Okay, let's go do that. Recently, me and my friends have been overthinking the future a lot. As I said, I recently graduated, which means I need to get a job. Me and my friends have been applying to jobs, but none of us have landed one yet, which has seriously been stressing us out. Me personally, I am stressing about it, but I'm not stressing about it as much as some of my friends. I've got this one friend that reminds me every single day that we're unemployed. And instead of just applying to jobs, he sits there telling me that he's gonna be unemployed for the rest of his life. Which again is a perfect example of just jumping to the worst possible outcome. It hasn't even been a month since we've graduated, but he's worrying about it so much. I think the main difference between him and I right now is that he loves going on LinkedIn, and obviously that app is an app where everyone posts whenever they land a job or an internship. And that's pretty much what his whole feed is, so he obviously feels worse when he opens the app. While I fucking hate LinkedIn because everyone that talks on there just talks like they're like not human. I wish people were just more normal on there. I don't know, like you can still talk about the jobs you land and shit, but I don't know, it's weird to talk all corporate. I think most of the things that I read on there are just straight from ChatGPT, but hey, it is what it is. The last thing that I want to go over is this moment in my life where I was overthinking so much. You know, as I said, back in the day, I wouldn't overthink much at all, but there was this one time when I was younger and I was overthinking like crazy. I am human after all. I wasn't just worrying about nothing. There was this one specific exam period that really mattered. Or at least that's what we thought, because the teachers made it seem like it was the end of the world if we failed in these exams. Thinking back on it now, I realized that those exams really did not matter. But for some reason, there were these rumors that were going around in our school where we had to get specific grades to make it to the next year. Also, is this working? There's only one zombie in here. Is that concerning? Should I be concerned? I don't know. I feel like I should be concerned. Why is there only one guy in here? What the fuck? I think I might have done something wrong, which is so fucking annoying, but shit, I definitely have done something wrong here. Well, anyways, as I was saying, for those exams, I didn't end up revising at all. So I went to each exam with no preparation and I just said, fuck it, we're just gonna see what happens. And I still had the mindset of not overthinking anything beforehand. And I most definitely was not worried afterwards as well. But for some reason, the few weeks leading to results day, I was stressing so hard. Every single night, I would be getting panic attacks or whatever I thought was panic attacks at the time. I remember genuinely not being able to sleep and just being so scared that I was gonna fail. I wasn't worried about my future or anything. I was more worried about what my parents were gonna say. I knew my parents were gonna fucking kill me if I failed, so I was so scared. We got a zombie here. Again, it's only one though. I wish we got more. What the fuck is going on, bro? This is seriously not good. How did I mess this up? I was following a step-by-step tutorial. What the fuck, bro? Okay. Oh wait, no. Oh, we're good. They're Okay, it's working. I was so worried that I was gonna fail, and I had a few friends that thought the same thing. They didn't think that I was gonna fail, they thought that they were gonna fail as well. Also, this is so loud. I'm gonna lower this shit real quick. Alright, that's so much better. Okay. On results day, I remember we all agreed that we were gonna open it together in the toilet so we didn't have all the other people around. But when it actually came to that day, I showed up quite late, and those guys had already opened it and they both passed, so they were so hyped. So I was completely alone, and I went into the room, I got my results paper, and I was about to open it. But somehow I formed a small group just staring at me. So instead of me just opening this paper by myself, I had all all of these people staring at me as well, and when I opened it, I got really good results and I passed by like a big margin, which again just proves that there was no point in worrying. Why was I sitting there worrying about my exam results when I knew I couldn't change it? I'd already done the exam, so all I had to do was wait for the results. I literally could do nothing about it then. I should have worried about it beforehand, but I was worried about it when the results were gonna come out. But as I said, luckily for me, everything turned out well. Also, I just realized how fucking big that potato farm is. Holy shit. We are 163 blocks in the air, and look at the size of that shit, bro. Oh my god. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys are big overthinkers. And if you ended up enjoying this video, please do leave a like and subscribe. And if you're still watching till now, you're definitely enjoying it, so you might as well click on the video that just popped up. Or don't, it's obviously up to you. Thank you guys for watching and have a great night. Peace.